welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be how to cream contour / contour with powder. So I did do my eyes off camera and I did my base off camera because in my last video I showed you guys how I prep my skin following the right color foundation, how I prep my skin skincare wise, and just basically how I apply my concealer in the shape that I do and blend it out, blah blah blah. I'm going to teach you guys the tips and tricks that I normally teach my clients in Sephora. Hella zoomed in because, you know, we're working on the face. So I wanted to make sure that you guys can really see what I'm doing. Before we jump into the video, the foundation that I'm wearing today is the Makeup Forever HD Stick. And the concealer, obviously, that I'm using is my Tarte Shape Tape. And on my eyes, I am wearing the Morphe 3502 palette. Me, personally, I love to cream contour before I put my actual powder contour on. Let's get this clear before we start. There's a difference between contouring and bronzing. Contouring has more of like a gray neutral undertone, and bronzer has more of that warmth, that orange undertone. Not necessarily make you look like a Oompa Loompa, but I will show you guys the difference side by side on what a contour color looks like and what a bronzer color looks like. Your concealer is supposed to be a shade to 2 shades lighter than your complexion. Your bronzer / contour should be 2 shades darker than your complexion. With contouring palettes, whether it's cream or powder, they like to divide the colorings by different skin tones, meaning they would have a fair, they would have a light, they would have a medium, a tan, and a deep. For today's sake, I'm going to go in with something that's pretty well known, and it's my Anastasia Cream Contouring Kit, and I'm in the color medium. Usually in cream contouring palettes, they bring you 2 highlighting colors, a color corrector for under your eyes, and 3 bronzers. So because I already put my concealer on, for today's sake, I'm just going to highlight a little under my eyes so you guys can see how the highlighting portion works. And for contouring, I'm going to choose these 2 right here because I feel like this one is a little too warm for my face and this one's a little too dark. So mixing these 2 together will get me the perfect color. This one I normally don't touch unless I'm super tan because it's really dark for my complexion. So what I like to do is at least put my concealer like how I have it on now. I'll show you guys the areas that I like to put that bright highlighter. Now I'm a fan of mixing. That's how you get the best use out of your products. So that's why I'm going to mix those 2 contour colors together and the highlights. I'm going to take this plain flat synthetic brush and I'm going to start to dip in the banana color and this light creamy color, and I'm only going to apply that color right along my cheekbones. That's where I really want it to pop more rather than specifically underneath my eyes. But when you blend out your highlight, it's going to naturally rise because you're blending it out, so you don't have to worry about putting too much all underneath the eyes. I'm going to go down the bridge of my nose, the middle of my forehead, and a little bit of my chin. Okay. I don't like to put too much of this color on my forehead because I feel like it just makes it a little patchy looking. So I did a little T, and we're going to blend it out. How I like to blend out my creams first is with a brush because I feel like you can really get that airbrush kind of finish better than using a sponge. A sponge really soaks up a lot of that product, so I do go in with my sponge afterwards to kind of give everything an even finish. I'm taking this small mini brush from BH Cosmetics. It's their tapered brush that I got in this brush collection that I ordered a while ago. It was free actually. But I'm going to use it to blend out my highlight. So when you're working with anything cream, you want to make sure that you tap in first, and then once you feel like you blended out the color majority, that's when we're going to go in like swiping a little bit. I'm going to drag it down a little bit, but not too far. I don't want to pass my contour area. And I'm going to bring it up with whatever's left on my brush. See how it just blends it out nice and seamless? Going as soft as I can, you guys. I'm not really going in and pressing too hard, moving too hard, because I don't want to move the product around too much. I want to keep it in the area that I placed it. It's going to be a little time consuming, but trust me, guys, have the patience, and I promise you, you're going to get the finish that you want. Really careful in between the brows. You know, I spent like 25 minutes on them. Alright, now that we're done blending everything out, I'm going to wet it with some spray. The spray that I'm using is my Mario Badescu, the green tea kind. And I'm going to pass that sponge all over to kind of pick up anything extra that I don't need. Now that we're nice and blended with the highlight, I'm going to go back in with the same palette. So I'm taking another flat synthetic brush. This one's actually from Luxie. It's the 211 concealer brush. I'm going to do 2 little lines on my temples. For your cheeks, the line that you want to create has to match up with your ear to the corner of your mouth. So if you was to take a brush, I'm going to line it up with the tip of my ear and I'm going to connect it to the corner of my mouth. Now that we have that brush lined up, I'm going to take my contour and I'm going to apply it. You want to make sure that that line starts from the corner of your ear to the corner of your mouth. We're going to take whatever's left on the brush and I'm going to pass it along my jaw. Do a little bit on my nose. Tiniest amount. So when contouring, the best way to remember the shape that you can do is like you're doing a big 3. And if you feel like you're comfortable just actually doing a 3 rather than doing the little sections that I did, go ahead because it's going to blend out the same. The brush that I like to use when blending out cream contouring is stippling brushes. This brush has large and short bristles. For me, I feel like it does blend out my contour really quick and seamlessly. Make sure when you're blending out as well too, you're sticking with that line that we created. Try not to go like crazy because you don't want to move it or drag it down too much. The way that I like to blend it out is doing little circular motions because it does naturally kind of blend it upwards versus downwards. And then with my jaw, I'm going to do bigger circular motions where now it's going to start to drag it down. You want to make sure that that chin is secured nice and tight. No double chin today. When it comes to blending out your forehead, again, keep it in the area that we placed it. Try not to bring it to the center of your forehead because then there'll be no point in doing that highlighting part, right? You're going to wrap around that highlighting area that we placed on your forehead, meaning you're going to take whatever's left on your brush and you're going to place it a little bit alongside your hairline. Hairline, hairline, hairline. When contouring your nose, you want to make sure that you take it from that line and you drag it downwards. I'm going to take whatever's left on the brush that we used to blend out our highlight and I'm going to go right underneath my cheekbones to sharpen up that bronzer a little bit. Now that we're nice and set, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to bake my concealer for a little bit because Lord knows I need some baking in my life. This powder smells good. Let the powder sit for a little bit and when I go to dust it off is when I'm going to set my entire face. For powder today, I'm using my Makeup Revolution Luxury Baking Powder in the shade Banana. It says the natural heat from your body will cook the powder over base foundation or concealer, giving you a flawless finish. Awesome. That's what I want. I wanted to try a banana powder because I feel like the translucent, when I do all this kind of baking, it really lightens my face up to a point that makes me look like my foundation isn't matching my neck or my chest or anything like that. So I'm trying the banana to see because of that yellow undertone if it kind of maintains my skin tone right. To bake everything off, I'm taking this fluffy brush from Sephora. It's the number 40. It's a Pro Flawless Powder Brush. It's a nice dome fluffy kind of brush. Yeah, I like this color a lot better. I guess this is going to be my new favorite powder. For the sake of this video, for contour, I'm going to go in with a contouring palette. So I'm going to take my Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. She only comes in one color, which is universal. But I can honestly say like tanner to deeper skin tones cannot use this palette. Being that she has 2 very light shades that would honestly do you no purpose. This palette is pretty pricey, so to pick up this palette for one color is not worth it. This is what the palette looks like. As you guys can see, the middle shade is my favorite and the banana color is my favorite. So you have 3 highlighting shades and 3 bronzers. I'm a fan of mixing, so I like to make use out of all my bronzers. So I'm actually going to use all 3 colors to contour my face. And then I'm going to use these 2 shades to highlight more underneath my eyes and the areas that I put that cream highlighting color. Now, before I move on to actually contouring my face, I wanted to show you guys the difference between a bronzer color and a contouring color. The bronzer that I'm going to be using today is my Becca Sunlight bronzer. The reason why I chose this is because it has that warm undertone that I use purposely for bronzing. So I'm going to show you guys the difference side by side. You see how the Becca one has more of like that orange warm undertone versus all 3 colors in the contouring palette. There's a reason why they call a contouring palette a contouring palette. So you cannot use these contouring colors to bronze up your face. You need something a lot more warmer. So yes, if you do have a contouring palette, you need to invest in a bronzer on the side because you need those 2 products. You can't just contour your face and call it a day. Your face is gonna look very dull, very gray, and you wanna make sure that you kind of like even it out with a bronzer. I'm going to take Kat Von D's dual-ended brush. It comes with this angled fluffy side and then you have a more tapered side. I'm going to take those 2 highlighting shades that I showed you guys and I'm going to use it to brighten my under eyes a little bit more. Now I'm going to take those 3 contouring colors and I'm going to do at least 2 dabs in each. Tap off, very important. And I'm going to follow that cream contour line that we created in the beginning. So just very lightly. Start with a little bit and gradually work your way up. You're going to have to go in a couple times with your contouring shade to really get it the way you want. Don't expect it to be perfect in your first application. You guys can see my motion. So what I do is I place the color down on my cheeks. I start with little wigwags. Wigwags? The best way to remember where to stop on your cheeks is like if you align that line with your eye. Place it down. I like to do like little flicking up motion. So I take it from there and I kind of flick it upwards. Or you can do circular. I'm going to take this small synthetic brush. It's actually made for liquids. It's from Equal Tools. I'm literally taking 1 dab of this color and I'm going to tap on to the area that I cream contoured with. It's okay if it looks a little harsh because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my sponge and I'm going to tap everything out so that way it's nice and seamless. Nose is finito. Now I'm going to go in with my bronzer and I'm going to take the angle side of the Kat Von D dual-ended brush and we're going to apply the bronzer right on top of the contour. Not higher, not lower, right on top of it. It's okay if you go a little heavy. We can always blend it out with a fluffy brush at the end. I'm going to take this fluffy brush. This is from It's My Ray Ray collection from BH Cosmetic. This is the number 2 brush. Nothing on it. I'm going to go right over on top of everything that we did. Especially this side because I feel like this side I went a little too heavy on it. I'm going to finish everything else off camera just because this is just a contouring video. So I'm going to be right back in 1, 2, 3. Okay guys, we're at the end. Hopefully this video helped a bunch of you guys out and didn't confuse the heck out of y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up on your way out and subscribe. And I'll see ya in my next one. Bye!